Good afternoon, my name is Calvin Valentine, the creator of Live to Make History. And in this video, we are going to be talking about the walk challenge. Yes, I did a crazy 8-week walk challenge. I wanted to see if there'd be a difference between A to B. I wanted to see if there was a realistic difference in my body type if I decided to go walk consistently, yes, 5 to 6 days a week, and see if my body type would change, because there was a time where I said, you know what, enough is enough. So I noticed it on YouTube, because I did a lot of YouTube fitness videos, that around January times, my midsection to lower abdomen, that the stomach area, was getting out of hand. So I started getting a lot of body fat, realistically started getting a lot of weight. And I had to say, you know what, enough's enough. But I wanted to kind of realistically do a challenge to see if walking, because I've heard this in the past. Yes, I know walking is good. We all know the benefits. I've made loads of videos about walking and why you should consistently be walking more every day if you can. Try and make an effort to walk more. So I wanted to see, as a fit person myself, yes, you can still gain body fat being fit. So obviously, of course, that gains a noticeable amount. If you go back to my older videos in January, you will see, we have to look very closely, that I did gain a bit of a belly. So I said, I'm going to walk consistently. Obviously, the benefits of walking is about half an hour. Half an hour a day of walking has great benefits. I said to myself, let me increase this by 5. So I increased it by 5, and I was walking about 2.5 hours a day. Well, this was based on what my app on my phone said. Obviously, I realized later on it wasn't consistent, but we'll get to that very soon. I said, you know what, I'm going to try and walk for 2.5 hours a day, take a before photo, do this whole 8-week challenge, which is around end of February, do this whole walk challenge and see consistently how your body type will look after moving forward. Very skeptical, because I'm quite, an active person. I know walking helps, but because I'm an active person, I didn't know if the results would be as drastic, as noticeable, because only 8 weeks. But I said, you know what, every day, 5 to 6 days a week, we're gonna go out there, I'm gonna walk. Gyms are not open. This was during lockdown. So this was during lockdown. So no gyms, none of that stuff. I was literally on the streets, walking out on the streets of London. It's not as easy as it is, because people in your way here and there. There's no excuses. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Very hard, very challenging. Rained, wind, hailstones, there was even a bit of snow sometimes, but I walked and walked. During that crazy 8-week walk, I would document, my steps, my times, what I would do during here and there, so I can see that there was a consistent, calorie burning effects. I knew you had to be in roughly around that 500. Remember I said before, if you haven't seen my previous videos, you want to be in around a minus 500 calorie deficit if you want to consistently, lose a good natural amount of weight. And obviously walking was doing that. So I said, okay, I'm in that range, so I should be consistently losing weight over time. With the walking itself, it started with an hour. So I used to do an hour a day, but I used to go all out. So I would power walk as fast as possible, trying to do about 7,000 steps. I was literally burn myself out, thinking to myself, you know what, this is the right way. But I'm trying to tell myself, this is the whole point of this challenge, is to do low impact walking. Why would you want to burn as much as possible, do everything you can in the space of an hour, when you can spread the time to about 2.5 hours, etc., and just walk more consistently, a lot slower, and still burn more in the output? You're burning more in the long run. So, as I said previously before, calories in versus calories out. So I'm burning about, let's just say I was burning about 500 calories, or just under like 420 calories or so in the hour. And then here, 2.5 hours, I was burning well over 800 calories. Who wins? And I was, walking a lot slower. So the first month or so, I was literally Once I left my house, I was power walking for a whole hour. Once I got to about half an hour, I checked my time. I was always checking, okay, 3,000 or 3,000 so steps. I need to pick the pace. Because I'm quite an intense person. I need to make this happen. But obviously, the whole point of this whole purpose, I'm trying to say, you can still burn crazy calories, do not as much work, just a little bit longer. I'm not trying to say everybody doesn't have the time to be walking 2.5 hours every day. Well, this was during lockdown. This was during a pandemic. So there was no real excuse. I said, you know what, get your shoes on and go out there and walk. As time went on, I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to do 2.5 hours. 2 hours at first, but I said, you know what, let me get that extra half an hour in, and I'm going to make sure I burn a minimum of 800 calories. So I'm in an 800 minus 800 calorie deficit to what I was previously doing. And I said to myself, during this whole phase, I'm not going to exercise. I want to see if walking consistently for my own body, if it will be significant enough to see some kind of change over time. So this was probably about, let's say, mid-March. I said, you know what, this 2.5 hours, we're going to do it. We're going to do it 5 days a week minimum. If we can do 6 days a week, okay. If you can only do 4 days a week, minimum 4 days a week, but an average of 5 days a week. And if I was feeling bonus, I'll try and get that 6 days a week. As time went on, yes, it got tiring. My feet started to have blisters on my feet because walking every day, especially when you're walking outdoors, and especially when you're walking, on the streets, like sometimes the roads are not always built quick for those crazy amount of times of walking up the hills, down the hills, slopes, crack this, crack that. Like, it wasn't on a treadmill or anything. I was literally walking on the streets. So it was literally no excuse. The blisters did form. Started to get sick of it. I was like, you know what? Let's just miss today. Let's just do tomorrow. But I said to myself, I am on a challenge, and I want to see if not just mentally, if there'll be a physical change over time. I try to avoid taking pictures every week. I want that before, I want that after shot, because if I take it every week, I knew I would not see that drastic change, and that would have affect my mind. I'd be like, you know what, I don't want to continue walking. So I did it before, and I said, you know what, you're going to take one after. Don't go crazy on how much you weigh or this or that, because it's going to kind of put me off. And let me tell you something. If you are on a challenge, and you want to try and stick to something, yes, they say you want to weigh yourself here and there consistently or there, but sometimes I'll be realistic with you. Sometimes it can put you off track. I'm not trying to say you never want to do it. Just be cautious of how you're going to go about doing it, because it can put you off where you just, don't have that mindset. And like I said, without the mind, the body will not follow. So it might put you off of that mindset to keep going. If you have that before and after, sometimes you're like, you know what, I want to see how great I look, after. So I'm going to stick to the plan, and I'm going to, put my head down and grind. But it might not work for you. But I'm just trying to say, you don't always have to be pressured to, weigh yourself consistently every day. So have that to know, and just think about it. As time went on, I'm getting towards the end of the challenge. This is like March is finishing, going into April. Okay, I find out gyms are opening. It's becoming more tempting to give up at this point, because gyms are opening within weeks away. I'm like, just wait, gyms are opening, there's no point. But I said to myself, you had that goal, stick. You have a goal, stick to that goal, and don't let anything distract you. So I continued to keep walking during the whole phase, during the whole period, during the whole duration. It started to get warmer. I continued to walk, especially when there was a point where it was very hot actually. Continue to walk in heat, keep going. You are on a challenge, you're on a goal, you want to see some kind of change, you want to know if there's a significant difference within your body type. Make the change happen for yourselves. And of course, if you're not one of them people who like to do a lot of exercise, walking may be your best friend. Walking is so low impact. Bring a friend with you, like I did in one of my previous walk videos. Bring a friend that can help motivate you, because you don't know the time is flying by. But if you can't, just walk a bit more. Make it more consistent. I'm not trying to say do 2.5 hours. Just make it consistent to yourself. Over time, you will see results. I remember the final week, like here and here. All these crazy numbers. I remember the final week, and I was like, you know what? Let's just make it happen. Let's grind. I know it's hard. Even my Instagram followers were messaging me and saying, how are you doing this walk challenge? Like, it's daytime here and you're walking, and it's nighttime and you are still walking. Why? Because I had a goal in mind. During that final week or the final 2 sessions, I remember I was like, you know what? Put your head down. Your mind is going to do it. Just go regardless. And I want to say one thing real quickly, actually. I want to just say one thing that I never even said before. During most of this walk challenge, I was doing it fasted. I used to do it in the morning. So most of the time I used to do the walk challenge at the start, I used to do it fasted. Yes, I used to do it fasted, and then I transitioned as time went on. But you're kind of seeing the consistency. You're doing 2.5 hours. It is overwhelming. Sometimes I used to do it. I used to go. What time I used to leave? Sometimes I'll leave around 2 in the afternoon fasted, which I'll never recommend anybody to do because I want to get out of the way. You're doing 2.5 hours, your body is so tired and fatigued, and you're going out there to walk for 2.5 hours. You kind of see the dedication, the mindset, the grind. You have to just go through it. So that last session, I remember when I completed it, I was just like, do you know what? I could kind of feel a bit of a difference anyway, but I wanted the pictures to speak for itself. So yes, I took an after photo and I was like, yes. At the end of the day, you've gone through it so much, all you can really do is just reflect on it, own the situation, say you did that, and add it to your memory box. Add it to your, I did that. Because at the end of the day, you have you and you. You have you and you. So if you have a goal or anything in that mindset, get those abs. Can we see those abs? Can we see that? Like, this was never there. Are we getting that? Are we getting that? Like, this was never there before. It wasn't there. Like, people can't believe it. Oh, you have yes, I had a bit of a belly. Might not be as drastic as most people might, perceive it as, but compared to what I compare myself to myself, so compared to what I was previously, even my photographer was telling me one time when I had a shoot, you're getting fatter. Nothing wrong with that, but comparing yourself to yourself, you've got to do something about it if you want to continue, the way you're going. Because obviously, things happen in life. You make changes, you do this, you do that. It's happened, especially during this pandemic. Things happen. You have to get yourself out of that situation. So do what works for you, but always stick to that grind, stick to that mindset. You know what? I have a vision, I have a goal. I'm going to make it happen regardless. And that's literally that simple. We came out, we saw, we conquered. Of course, walking has so many benefits, as I keep saying. It helps with bone density, so it improves your bones, increase your VO2 max, improve your heart rate. I can go on and on and on, while you should realistically be walking more, especially if you don't do the major activities and you just want to walk. Stick to walking. Walking is low impact. It's not like you're doing weights where you're adding stress to the muscles. Walking is low impact, so you can do it whenever you want and wherever. Don't take walking for granted, because there is somebody out there who wishes they were in your shoes and being able to walk more. So walk more. Don't take it for granted, and make it happen. For who? Not for him, not for her, not for them, for yourselves. One final thing: if you think just walking alone just allowed me to shed off that fat in the stomach area, then you're wrong. You want to be also in some kind of, I say this every time, some kind of deficit. Of course, hand in hand, nutrition is very powerful. Don't play with nutrition. Your nutrition is very, very powerful. Align them. Nutrition means training, nutrition means fitness, and you will succeed. So, as I keep saying, let's go out there and let's continue to drink. Yes. Always hydrate yourself. Let's continue to drink and let's continue to live to make history. Why? Because you and I, we have one life. Get those abs, yeah.